This is Angry Bean here today to talk to you about gourmet coffee. Okay. Now, coffee comes from various places all around the globe. Mainly from Brazil, and then it also comes from other Latin American countries, Colombia being another one, Mexico, and so on. Then you've got the African nations as well, so Uganda, Ethiopia, Kenya, and then you have the Asian countries as well, and even some places like Australia now as well are doing certain types of coffee. So, what is gourmet coffee? Okay, gourmet coffee is basically coffee that has been picked purely for the taste qualities and profiles that it gives you. Okay, so if you're subscribing for coffee, then what you will be getting is a different coffee every single subscription, which allows you to taste different profiles. So, if I start from the beginning, you've got coffee blends. Coffee blends were brought about so that you can basically imagine like a mixing pot, getting lots of different flavours in coffee and bringing them all together. Okay, so almost like an ingredient cupboard. I will take some Kenyan, I'll take some Colombian, I'll mix them together and I will get this sort of profile. Maybe if I mix it 40% this, 60% that, it will taste a bit more like this. And it's basically playing around with those flavours. So there's a misconception that blended coffee is cheaper. Now that's because obviously some roasters do put a good coffee in, but if they're only putting 30% of it in and then they're throwing a load of cheaper coffee in after that to sort of bulk it back up, then obviously that is going to be a cheap blend, and unfortunately that's what a lot of roasters did do. But now blends, blends can be good. You don't have to have a rubbish blend. Obviously it's a blend of different coffees. If I get some Brazilian Esperanza and some Colombian Supremo, put them together, that's not, they're two good coffees. I'm not going to get a bad coffee from blending them. So that negative perception really doesn't hold true anymore. Why do people then go for what's called a single origin or a single estate coffee? Essentially, you're looking for a particular taste. Okay, so going back to my coffee, if I pick this one here, a single estate Esperanza, I'm obviously looking for a specific profile which I associate to coffee when it comes from this particular farm. Okay, so what would be the same in the farm? Well, obviously you're going to get typically the same type of soil, so you're going to have the same sort of plants that have been used. You're also going to have the same growing conditions, unlikely that you would find it grown on a mountain and grown in a rainforest at the same location. You typically find one or another. And then you'd also find the same harvesting techniques have been used. So if they were picked by hand, then the whole crop is likely to have been picked by hand. Okay, so we've got this consistency going through. And then you've got the drying, how the coffee was actually dried out, the washing methods that were used. All of these things will be typically the same in the same state. So it gives you a very descriptive way of tasting that coffee, because what it'll have is it'll have certain notes which you can pick out from the coffee. Now if you're into your coffee, you might be able to then tell, well, this coffee's from X part of the world, or this coffee is essentially, I think it's from this estate. So you're looking for these sort of tones that you would associate with that particular coffee. When you blend it then obviously becomes difficult to do that, because you're taking different elements from different parts, sometimes from the world, sometimes different parts of the country, and you're basically coming together with a taste that is, for all intents and purposes, unique. So the unique taste of a blend is created by the roaster, and that can be good and that can be bad, obviously, depending on what the roaster is trying to do. The roaster's still looking for quality and a specific type of taste, and obviously that's going to be a good coffee. But if you're wanting to sample for a coffee from a certain part of the world, maybe a certain estate, and basically taste those sort of notes that you'll find in the coffee that are particular to that particular estate, then obviously single origin is what you want. So if you're experimental, like to try different things, then single origin is quite good, and you can do that via a subscription. If you like to have the same product all the time, you can obviously do that on subscription, but essentially you might be looking at a blend then, or maybe you'll stick with one single origin type of coffee when you like it. And that's basically the gist of why to buy different types of coffee. Any more questions, please post them. And there's only one thing left that you need to do, and that's go and buy it over there, or go and buy it over there, because I can't remember which way it is. I think it is over there. Go and buy it. Go and buy it now. I told you I'm coming out of the